Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the BEA podcast for entertainment news. My name is Camille Bechac, and I am so excited to have you on today. I have two lovely guests with me, and their names are...
Tyler, and I'm happy to be here today, so it's nice to meet you.
Austin.
Alrighty. Well, today we have plenty of topics to talk about. So we are going to start with the elephant in the room. Joker, we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review. We'll be moving on to the newest Harley Quinn movie. Then we're going to be talking about a new trailer about a new way that people are defining media now. And then a discussion topic talking about the future of media and what we would like to see next. So to begin, I know that everyone's super excited. It just came out like 3 days ago, our time, Joker. And Tyler, you have seen it, correct?
Yes, I've actually seen it twice. So I liked it. I liked it so much. I wanted to see it again and kind of look for different things the second time.
I got
but,
you.
Yeah,
you go in expert mode.
Yeah, I wouldn't say expert, but it is a fascinating film that I can see why people have been upset about it. But I think it speaks to where we're at with society, and so I think it's important. I think films like that need to be made. So
all right.
Yeah.
And then Austin, you haven't seen the film, but I realize that you may have some questions for us later about it.
I do.
So anybody who hasn't seen the film, do not worry. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. We aren't going to ruin anything for you. We'll make sure that we'll have a spoiler review next week, so tune in for that. So to start us off, some stats. I know that on Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 90% for audience views and 70% for critics, which is understandable because I think a lot of like Joker fans definitely will enjoy this movie by far.
It's definitely a different type of Joker movie
than
expected, which is it's interesting, and it's not to spoil anything, but it's not necessarily about Joker as a villain. It's about him as a person, which is you can see why people would be kind of outraged about it, because that's such a interesting way to look at someone so evil and bad. But it's just it's a character study. It's what it is, and so it's taking him as a character and saying, okay, why is he like this from a psychological point of view? And so it's weird to look at something so evil as human, but it's interesting at the same time. So
I haven't seen it, but it looks like it draws heavy inspiration from Taxi Driver.
Yeah. The soundtrack wise, it's very similar. The music plays a big role in it, kind of, so yeah.
When I was watching it, I definitely could pick up on like what you were saying about like how it's more of a human interest story rather than just like, the crime villain that we all know from the DC comics.
Right.
I know that basically a lot of people won't be expecting what they're going into. I say go into it with an open mind, although there is a lot of like, it is an R movie. Like do not expect to bring your kids to it. I definitely think this is definitely not the movie to bring it to. So other than that, are you a Joker fan?
As the character or the movie?
Both. I want to hear both.
Okay. I'm not, or I haven't been a huge DC fan in general. Just growing up with Marvel comic books, I've always just been more of a Marvel fan. But I do appreciate DC as a universe, and so I appreciate Joker as a character, as a villain. He's very interesting because I'm not a huge Batman fan.
I get that.
So, but him as a character is very interesting. And so I do appreciate him. And as a movie, this is definitely a unique way to look at him, as not just a villain, but as a person. And so I would say I'm a fan on both fronts, as a villain in a character and as a movie. So.
All right. Austin, what about you? Do you like the Joker character? Like, are you familiar with DC?
Well, I'm not a big superhero movie kind of guy, but I do appreciate these films that are like more artsy and more of character studies like Joker. And there's another one that came out recently.
Along like DC?
Yeah, along DC. I can't think.
No, Shazam came out.
That's what I was thinking about. Shazam, yeah.
Shazam
it was a great comedy.
Recently.
I love that one.
Shazam was good too.
I think like DC's doing a lot of good things. I mean, I think just because like Marvel's been like so heavily invested in the Spider-Man like battle with Sony, like DC is coming through with their moment to shine with Joker, and overall, I think it was really well written.
Very well.
I think it was really well acted, and like Joaquin Phoenix was really, really interesting to watch on the film.
Fantastic. Yeah. I don't know if it's strictly because like Marvel's just kind of been focused on other things right now, or just in general, but I think DC's finally maybe, or hopefully I would say, finding their place along,
I think it's the right time because after Endgame and all that Marvel fatigue sets in, and they can have their chance to shine.
Yeah, I mean, with these movies like Joker and Harley Quinn that are coming out, they're kind of taking a different spin on it. I feel like they're not necessarily trying to compete with Marvel and do the same thing that Marvel did. Make all these sequences of movies and tie them together.
I think they learned their lesson from the whole Justice League thing.
Exactly. And so now they're kind of doing more independent stuff, which I think suits them.
Yeah, I think they should just get small-time filmmakers, have them directed, and then blow up like Joker.
Yeah.
Right.
And definitely because like Marvel's coming to like a close with one of the chapters. Like I think DC is opening a chapter, so I think that's why there's so much light and focus on DC at the moment. So Austin, I realize you have some questions for us about Joker, about maybe what audience members who haven't seen the movie would like to know before going in.
Well, the director, Todd Phillips, has primarily done comedies like Hangover, so how is it tone-wise?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Could not tell that this director had made a comedy before. Like if like going into it, like comparing The Hangover to Joker, I would have not even suspected that those were the same directors.
Yeah, I think if maybe you like studied the styles of camera shots and stuff like that, and kind of the overall just feel of the movie, you might get some of his older movies in there if you really studied it out. But taking it just as a film and you put them side by side, you don't really see any true similarities. At least from watching it twice like I did. But I think that's pretty cool, that he can go from these two different types of movies.
Should the audience expect lots of violence or gore?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Simple answer is yes.
Like you aren't even expecting like what you would think as like a Joker film to have so much like violence, blood, and gore. Like you would not think that it would be as well paced out as it is. I don't think that's a spoiler, right?
No, I wouldn't say it is. It's a Joker film. I mean, he's a villain. It's kind of to be expected.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of more purposeful, maybe.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be very cautious about the words I'm saying because I don't want to.
I have a question, but I'm not sure if it's
go for it.
Borderline.
We can always edit it out.
Batman in it? That's what people might think. It's pretty.
Me and Tyler are just like looking at each other, just like wondering what to say or what not to say.
I would say the correct answer is Batman is not in it.
Batman is not in it.
So,
yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. What else?
That's about it. That's all I had.
All right.
With all the controversy with the violence and the incel community, is it really the kind of movie to incite that, as media is saying?
I don't know. I mean,
it's a good question, especially after watching it. You can see aspects that are a little bit borderline
glorifying.
Like, it could be if you go into it not really open-minded necessarily, but if you go in looking for some kind of positive meaning from it, and as more of an art form than truly looking for something that is going to negatively impact society, you can find good things in it. There's good themes throughout, and I would say it's less about aggression and violence as being something that happens, and more so those things being a symptom of what could cause them, or what they stem from. And so it kind of ask the audience to not just look at the violence as an evil thing, but why does it happen?
So it's a commentary on mental health?
Well put.
Very much so. It is a commentary on mental health.
I think that's true. Like, I mean, a lot of the movie, like, I personally am not a big Joker fan, not the movie itself, but as like the character. That's not my area of knowledge, but I did have to say, like, the way that this movie showed the culmination of events that led to led to Arthur Fleck becoming Joker definitely was well formulated together, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, and I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So is it a better backstory than in the 60s where they had a guy fall into a toxic waste and become the Joker?
I'd go with the toxic waste. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No, it was really good. You get to see like the tiny details and every single tiny aspect that makes this character who it is. Like,
Right.
and Joaquin, just like you can see in every single emotion and action in his face, like he just makes sure to feel everything, and like the audience does feel it too. Like I definitely had to go in with a buffer for myself to be like, okay, don't like, you have to make sure that you keep an objective view, because you know who he's going to become.
For sure. I mean, and I would say it's kind of not necessarily about the Joker. You know, it's about what could create a Joker, which is kind of where the controversy comes in, because, you know, it's not necessarily placing blame on anything or any system in place necessarily, but it is begging you to ask the question and really examine what could we do to stop this, you know?
And for me, I don't think it was glorifying the Joker as much as like other movies have done with Joker. Like I think in like Dark Knight Rises with Heath Ledger as Joker, I think that was definitely like glorifying Joker just because he was doing cool things. He was being like, he was coming up with these mastermindful things. I didn't feel that same way with Joker the movie.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I think you're gonna get I think audiences are gonna get a different take on what to see in a different light with the character of Joker.
Sure. Yeah, I think because it's so real and much more realistic than previous Jokers in the past, that's what makes it so uncomfortable to sit through. And it kind of just puts you on the edge of your seat and makes you feel anxious because it's so real, and it's kind of scary to think about at the same time.
I think uncomfortable is a good word to put it.
So would Joaquin Phoenix's performance be as good as Heath Ledger? Like, is it up there?
I think it's on two different levels. Personally for me, I think Heath Ledger, because we only saw him from, like, Joker is definitely from Arthur Fleck's point of view. Dark Knight Rises is not from the Joker's point of view.
Backstory.
Yeah, so you get like more of this like ominous action star. So it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare acting wise, but you can definitely see moments in Joaquin's acting where elements of like old Jokers have come out. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure. And once you see the movie, you'll definitely understand what she means by that. But that's definitely in there. And I'd say it's hard to compare them just from the writing, like the scripts themselves. It's kind of, you would have to look into the purpose of the movie being made.
Yeah.
And this one, Joker just comes with a completely different person. And so it requires a different style of acting in general.
Yeah, because I mean, Dark Knight Rises, the writing was definitely for action. For this is definitely human interest, like personal delving into like a person's life story. Yeah. So it's hard to compare when they're two different films being made. All right. Well, continuing on to our DC news, we have the trailer that came out with this movie was Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of the One Harley Quinn. The new Birds of Prey movie starring Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, reprising from Suicide Squad. I wanted to get y'all's take on it. What did y'all think?
Like I said, I'm not a big superhero fan, but it's very interesting, I think.
Oh, I'm excited for it. I think it's interesting, and I fully support, the female leads that are kind of happening more with movies lately. And I think it's a powerful movement that needs to continue to happen. And the fact that Harley Quinn is now getting a solo movie, and not only that, but there are other powerful, actresses that are in the movie with her. I think at one point in the trailer, she says like they shouldn't be scared of Mr. J, they should be scared of me, or something like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I love it. Like, that's awesome. Forget the man, like, be scared of us.
I just love, like, not like I'm a big Harley Quinn fan. I may not be a big Joker character fan, but like Harley Quinn as a character, that's my one gal. That's my one DC gal that I will die for. But even on like not a fan level, just watching the trailer, I love the amount of color that they used within the film. It looks different than other DC film trailers, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's on the same line of like Shazam, where it was just like fun and entertaining, but it still has those elements of action like the Justice League trailer. But I don't know, it's very vibrant and colorful, and I'm like, I really like that about it. But I don't know, I'm super excited to see what DC will have. But any final thoughts?
No, I would just say I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
All right. So going into more movie news that seems to be heavily centered upon today's podcast, but there was a trailer that was out called 1917. It is directed by Sam Mendes, and it is apparently all one shot.
Yes, impressive to say the least. Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. It looks really good.
So as like a film stance, apparently they have been rehearsing this movie for like months, and it's sort of like a theater piece.
Yeah, there were many films that did this. There was
Birdman, I think, was one of them.
Birdman, I think a sequence in that, and also an entire French film. It was like a ballet kind of thing where they just it's a whole. Actually, it was a Russian history thing. So it went through the history of Russia, the aristocracy, and it's all in one take. So
interesting.
There've been movies that have pulled it off, and I hope this one can too.
I have no idea how you would even do that. Apparently, like during the transitions, like they would put it on like a hillside if they had like sun, and they would just do a time lapse of the entire weather. Like, how do you come up? Like, that's just.
It's not entirely in one take. They hide cuts.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right.
So,
but they're really seamless.
But it's made to look like it's all one, which in itself is impressive, just editing and acting wise. But I just read in an article that they actually went to boot camp and like practice and really worked for like 6 months or so to prepare for the role. And I don't think people realize what goes into acting, just on the back end of it, because there's so much more that goes into it than what we see on the screen, and it's impressive.
Pre-production must have been a nightmare. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you just imagine like that poor person that has to like prepare every single. Like, it's honestly like a stage manager at this point, where it's just like they have to prepare every single like, where did the bombs go, where did the plane go, because it's all about like World War I believe. So which is really cool, because like I feel like whenever people do war movies, it's always heavily focused on World War II. So
I mean, can you imagine just like acting out? You get close to the end of the scene and you like mess up. And it's just like, all right, you gotta take this back and redo it.
I can't.
Like, let's wait for the weather to get back where it needs to be. Like, the stress has just got to be so.
Oh, I could not
intense.
imagine. I would throw up from that stress. I would be like, no, thanks.
Yeah.
Could you do a one-shot movie, Austin? Or if you could do a one-shot movie, what would it be?
It'd be a short film. It would be like 3 minutes. It would be
10 minutes max.
I'm thinking like a lifespan of a child, from baby to adult into casket.
That reminds me of the movie Boyhood. I don't know if y'all heard about it.
Yeah, that took 12 years, and it's not one shot, thank God. That'd be a nightmare.
My goodness, I cannot. That seemed like an interesting. But I think this opens up a bigger discussion that I would like to talk to y'all about. Like, since we are at a time where we're like experimenting with like media, and we're experimenting with like one shots for movies or hour-long documentaries on YouTube, I wanted to know, what did y'all think would be the next thing for the future of movies, television? What do you want to see?
I'd say like VR interactive stories.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not far-fetched. It's like actually happening now.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Showing up on different apps. I had a friend told me that there's this like little short film. It's kind of like Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror, where you choose your own venture.
God, I love that.
But it's in Tinder, so you swipe the decisions.
Oh, that's fun.
And then on the profiles, they say like what decisions they make under their bio. So I'm like, that's interesting. Just stuff like that.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay.
I'm definitely not opposed to going that route for stuff. That would be so fun to just take part in. For me, I would say I just want to see more independent, low budget films, just to get back to the core of film as like an art and as a purpose. As much as I love Marvel movies and just superheroes and the stories that they create, the film market's kind of saturated right now with superhero movies. Just taking
Martin Scorsese like sent out a tweet saying that like cinemas now are just big theme parks.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
Wow.
It was pretty much like anti-superhero movies, which I get it. I mean,
yeah,
they're interesting stories to tell, but at a certain point, they're better. Or I don't want to say better stories to tell, but there are stories that are more meaningful to humanity as just a race that we should be telling, especially as every generation goes by. We each face like new challenges, new stuff like that, with like technology growing and stuff, and so we need new stories to keep up with new problems. And so
and I love a superhero movie more than the next gal, but like there's only so much that we can take,
right,
to the point where it's just like I think it was really sad for a while because I was at a point where I was looking at all the movies that were coming out for like podcast topics, and I think Joker was the only one that like even caught my eye or like was even getting any remote attention. And there was like other movies that were coming out and that I saw in the trailers that I never even heard of.
Yeah.
Like it was baffling to see just like how much focus as a society we've put on like so much focus that we put on superhero movies.
Right.
But I would like to see a whole new genre made. If I could make a future statement, I'll put it out into the atmosphere. I'll put it out into the universe. I want to see a whole new genre be made in film.
Cool. I'm into it.
It'd have to be like a Frankenstein of different genres, because I feel like everything's been done at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, as technology continues to grow and new stuff comes out, there's always the possibility.
You know what I want? I know they did this like a long time ago, like when movies were just being made, but I want to see a movie where the audience chooses the ending. I want to see that. I don't know how. I don't know why.
Well, maybe everybody in the audience is clickers.
Vote.
You gotta vote.
Like
if not, people are gonna start fighting in the theater. Like, I want this ending.
Yeah,
so that'd be cool though.
I think that would.
Well, I think an old '80s movie, Clue, like based off the board game.
Yeah.
They
I
had
love
different
that.
showings and different endings.
Oh,
pretty interesting.
that's wild. I love Tim Curry in that. God bless him.
So good.
So one theater would get like, I don't know the names, Miss White. Another one would get like Mr.
That's
Purple.
awesome.
Interesting.
I want to see that
know
now. All right. Well, that's about it. We're just wrapping up. Right now, I'm just going to tell you about some local news that's coming up. It is homecoming week. I know it won't be when y'all are listening to it, but for right now, happy HOCO. And on the 9th, Southeastern is hosting its Giving Day. And this Wednesday, I believe, also the 9th? Yeah. The 9th is Gumbo Yaya from 11 to 2. Other news coming from next week, October 15th and 16th, CAB will be hosting a Hocus Pocus movie night, as well as having a pumpkin patch on campus. And in the following week, October 21st and the 22nd, there will be a haunted trail at North Oak Park. So if y'all are hearing this in time, get your Halloween on. And so I just wanted to have a chance for my lovely guests to plug anything they need to plug. Do you have any Instagram, Facebook, Twitter? What you got?
I do. Just Tyler A. Page on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of it.
Instagram, Austin Dew, DEW.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Y'all want to sign on out?
Yeah. Tyler Page signing out.
Goodbye. Go see Joker. I sure am after this.
All right. Thank you so much. It has been me, Cammy B. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great night, y'all.